Hello everybody, welcome to the Connecting Life podcast. I'm your host Dianaboskma, and I'm here to help you connect the dots of life so that you can live your best life in a healthy and fulfilling way. Today I want to talk to you about something that most people never really think about until their bodies start to whisper, I guess, that something isn't quite right anymore. And that is how gut health affects trace minerals like copper, iodine, and manganese. And sometimes those whispers are very subtle. A little more tired than usual, or that your hair doesn't feel as thick or healthy as it used to, or that when you get a cut, your skin takes a bit longer to heal, or it's your nails are not that strong anymore, they're a bit more brittle. So it's that feeling that your body is somehow struggling to keep up, even though you're trying your best to nourish yourself well. And very often when people go looking for answers, they focus only on what they're actually eating, whether they're getting enough minerals, whether they should take another supplement. They think about things like magnesium, iron, zinc, iodine, selenium. There's all sorts of things that people think about. But there's another question, and that's just as important, and sometimes even more important, and that is, can your body absorb and use those nutrients properly? And that brings us to the gut, the microbiome. As you know, I'm always talking about that. Because the gut is not simply the digestive tube, the tube that goes through us, that all our food and everything passes through, because literally it's a tube from our mouth all the way to the exit. But it is an active ecosystem. It's a living environment. And the health of that environment actually determines far more about how well our nutrients end up in our body than most people realize. So a while ago I was talking with someone, and what she described was that it was as though her body was slowly but carefully dimming, and she thought that it might be age or menopause or something. And it's in a way a very powerful way of putting it, because your body's not collapsing, it's not dramatically ill, it's just a little less vibrant than it was before. So when we got talking, she was telling me that she was eating healthy and that she was really trying very hard, but she just didn't feel nourished and rested. And for her, it had nothing to do with age or menopause or anything. It was literally the topic we're talking about, because it was resolved quite quickly. But well, the thing is that many people, they kind of feel that way, but also don't really know what to do. So when I was talking with this lady, a couple of things became clear. One being that she felt bloated after meals quite quickly. Well, that's a sign that your gut's not doing well. She was stressed. That has an effect on the gut. She was rushing eating. Eating we need to do in a calm way. That's just much better for us. And she'd had a couple of rounds of antibiotics. And those tend to mess with your gut microbiome. So what had happened for her was that her body had step by step shifted into survival mode, not thriving. And that's something that really matters, because our ability to absorb those trace minerals like copper, iodine, manganese, that just depends on the condition of our digestive system. So the microbiome is super important for that. And these minerals, they're only needed in small amounts. You don't need it in huge quantities. But even in these tiny amounts, they play a big role in our body because they're needed. So copper, for example, that helps with energy production, it helps with connective tissue, and it helps with nervous system health. And also, and that's what a lot of people really don't know, is iron metabolism. So without enough copper, the body struggles to use the iron properly. And that's a big thing. So someone can increase their iron intake over and over and over again and still feel depleted when their copper status is poor. So where is copper absorbed? in your small intestine. So it's a gut health thing. And that means that if your gut lining is inflamed, irritated, damaged, the absorption will just decline over time. It just won't be able to do it. And then the other thing is iodine. So for most people, they just think about the thyroid when they think about it. But iodine also influences our energy, our metabolism, our hormonal balance, and also our temperature regulation, and also a couple of aspects of our immune health. And what's fascinating is also how closely connected the gut and the thyroid really are. So when the gut becomes inflamed, dysbiosis, then it doesn't just affect digestion, it can also affect our immune regulation, nutrient absorption, and the body's ability to properly use thyroid hormones. So that's why so many people experience symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, hair thinning, feeling cold all the time, feeling sluggish, but their test results just look normal. And that's when, it could be a iodine issue. And then there's manganese, and that's probably one of the least talked about trace minerals, because I haven't heard it much, but it is an important one because it helps support connective tissue, bone health, blood sugar regulation, antioxidant protection, and nervous system functioning. And again, it's just tiny amounts are needed, nothing big. But those tiny amounts over the years, when you have a deficiency in that, it can create really surprisingly large effects. And what all these minerals are linked together are through the gut. When the gut's not healthy, it's not going to do it. So a healthy gut lining is almost like an intelligent gateway, I guess. So a healthy gut lining decides what comes in, what stays out, what gets absorbed, and what gets eliminated. So then when you have gut dysbiosis, which means that the balance between beneficial and harmful microbes is just out of balance. There is no balance anymore. It's just out of whack. And that changes your whole environment in your gut, because that creates that the inflammation rises, the digestive secretions change, and the intestinal lining becomes less resilient. And what can then happen is that even though you eat really healthy, nutrient-dense meals, you're not fully nourishing your body. And I think that's one of the reasons why traditional diets mattered so much, because when Dr. Price was traveling around to study the traditional cultures, what he noticed was something really important. Those populations weren't just eating nutrient-dense foods. They were eating in ways that supported digestion and microbial health as well. So, what they consumed were fermented foods, which is probiotics. They also had mineral-rich broths, which is mineral-rich. Then organ meats, which are nutrient-dense. Slow-cooked stews, that means that all the nutrients are much easier available. And then the natural animal fats, because they help with the assimilation of, what do you call them? The fat-soluble vitamins, which are also important because it all plays together. So the meals were also really carefully prepared. There was taken time to do it, and it was, paid attention to. And eating, people would sit at the table to eat together. So the body was supported as a whole. And today, many people eat stressed, distracted, rushing, multitasking, on their phones, drinking coffee, and then you don't have that calm, relaxed, nourishing meal, but you get the pressure, the constant pressure. And your gut feels that. Your nervous system also feels that. Your digestion weakens under chronic stress, stomach acid decreases, microbial balance changes, and slowly but carefully those deficiencies can then begin to appear. And not necessarily because the nutrients aren't present. They can be present in your food, but because your body has lost the possibility to receive them, to take them out of your food. And I think that's a really important distinction to make, because sometimes people feel guilty or frustrated with themselves with, I'm eating healthy, why do I feel so depleted? But it's not just about what you eat. It's about your digestion, it's about absorption, it's the microbial balance in your gut, it's inflammation, and it's nervous system regulation. All those work together. And the beautiful thing is that the body often responds very well when we begin to restore those foundations. So simply starting with traditional practices can make a huge difference, like bone broth, slow-cooked stews, fermented vegetables. Fermented foods are just really important. So when you add that to every meal a little bit, it'll make a difference. So that's kefir and yogurt as well. And foods like liver and shellfish, they are really nutrient dense. And also taking your time, eating slowly, eating mindfully. Because mindfulness, this being present with what you do, is a really good thing. And also, that's a really important thing as well, is reducing the processed foods, because they wreak havoc on your system. And then, the calmly eating, sitting there. And that's good for your nervous system, not just for your digestion, also for your nervous system. That's a two-way thing. And those things, they may seem small, especially when you do one at a time, you slowly introduce them, but they help rebuild that environment where nourishment can really happen. And I think that's at the heart of what I want to share today. Sometimes the body is not asking for more restriction, more supplements, or more complicated protocols. It's just asking for restoration. Returning to proper nourishment, returning to a rhythm, returning to supporting the gut. And that's the place where our health begins anyway. So, if you've been feeling a little depleted lately, have a think about it. Your body may not be failing you. It might just be that you need a little bit more of the fermented foods. You might need a little bit more of restoration of your gut so that the nutrients can be taken out of your food and into your body. And if you want any help with anything, let me know. I'm always here for you. Just message me and we'll have a conversation about it. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.